Welcome to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthew. Unfortunately, Seth will not be with us today. He is having some throat issues, and we want him to protect that and get it all ready for next week. Seth is going to be doing a deep dive into the hockey, and we should have some pretty good information from him. I'm going to just kind of go through and just give you just a brief summary on the hockey. I don't want to spoil anything for next week. We'll also be talking a little bit about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals for basketball. There was some chaos in the Madrid Liverpool game. We'll talk about a little bit about that. The Chelsea sale, it has gone for a record number. A group out of LA is going to buy Chelsea for an ungodly amount of money. And also, too, we have a little bit of an update on Britney Griner. We'll talk about the NBA All-Star Game, and Joel Embiid continues to just find no love and ends up being on the second team. Not a runner-up, leading scorer, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's talk a little bit about the biggest series, and that is the Avs versus the Blues. Anybody who's been in Denver or in the Colorado area, Rocky Mountain West, has heard or maybe has seen the highlights. We scored a goal with about 5.4 seconds left in regulation to avoid overtime and clinching the series. It was just a wonderful thing. Helm scored the goal. He's usually a third or fourth line guy, so you can see that the Avs have just an incredible amount of depth. Two goals were scored by Comfort as well, so we don't want to leave him out because he did a great job getting it tied up, and what a win for the Avalanche. Oilers Flames series Game 5 was a thriller. Anyone who saw the Battle of Alberta, it ended up being won by the Oilers. The 5-4 overtime victory in Game 5 clinched it for them. Unfortunately, Calgary is going to have to go back to the offseason and try to figure out some things. Eastern Conference games, now we've got one heck of a series going on between Carolina and the New York Rangers. It is now tied up 3-3. For those of you that had a chance to see the game last night, it was a game where the Rangers dominated and ended up winning 5-2. The Panthers and Lightning series, again, that was the Battle of Florida. It really was more of the slaughter of Florida, and the Panthers ended up losing 4-0, being swept by the two-time defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, we're going to go into each one of these series next week. Some caveats about some players and coaches that are on both different teams, and Seth will go into that next week. But let's move on to the NBA, and let's talk just a little bit about the Mavericks and the Golden State series. Of course, that's over with. It was over with on Thursday, and the Warriors have won it in 5 games. You see some of the celebrations from the guys from the Golden State Warriors. They haven't been in the finals in a while, so they're real excited. Matter of fact, the quote from Green was "We back." So they're excited. What's really nice, if you're a Golden State fan, is that you see Thompson had probably his best game since coming off his 2 years of rehab. He had 8 3-point goals. He was 8 for 16 from the 3-point line. Shot 64% from the field, and just ended up doing extremely well with 32 points. Curry finished with 15, Poole 16, Wiggins 18, and Draymond Green at 17 points. Luka just couldn't get it done. He doesn't have enough support. He and Dinwiddie tried their best, with Luka scoring 28 and Dinwiddie was 26. Just not enough in the end. There's just too much firepower on Golden State. So we'll have to see what the Mavericks do in the offseason to retool. We have 3 core players of Golden State. Remember, the 3 core players are Curry, Thompson, and Green. They, in the regular season, only saw 11 minutes of action together. So these guys are still just working out the kinks throughout the playoffs, and we look for them to finish strong in the NBA Finals. The second series, the Eastern Conference Championship, has been absolutely fantastic to watch. You've got it's tied at 3-3. The Heat came back and tied it up, winning. And again, all we can really say about that game is Jimmy buckets. Jimmy Butler scored 47 points. He had 9 rebounds and 8 assists. Okay, that is incredible. If he could have had a triple-double, that would be one of the conference finals games probably in history of an individual performance. So we want to congratulate Jimmy Butler and the Heat for going into a tough game and winning a must-win game. Now tonight, 6:30, folks. Be at Brothers Bar and Grill if you can be. It's just the shops of Northfield, just north of I-70. Get off at Quebec or get off at Central Park. Get in and watch this Game 7. We'll have almost all the TVs tuned to it. Just ask anyone, any of the bartenders, and they will be able to put the game so you'll be able to see it. But we're looking forward to it. It's going to be an incredible game, and you'll see some of the best basketball in the world being played tonight between these two teams. Let's talk a little bit about the NBA All-League, because it was a little bit, again, a big slight to Joel Embiid. He finishes second in the MVP voting. He's the leading scorer, but yet he fails to crack the first team All-Pro. So what we have, of course, Giannis, Joker, Luka, Devin Booker, and Tatum that made the first team. Booker, out of Phoenix, looked tough in the playoffs. Remember, he got hurt in that first series. Luka, of course, is just a dominant player, and he's one of only 3 players that has made the first team All-League before the age of 24. Second team, Joel Embiid leads it off. Remember, he's second in the MVP. Ja Morant, who is the most improved player in the NBA this year, is also on there. You have Kevin Durant, you have Curry, and DeRozan to round out the second team. Third team, you have Towns, LeBron James. LeBron James, we have to give a salute out to. It's his 18th selection to NBA All-League team. Trae Young, we saw him with Atlanta, just absolutely win games, just will them himself. He's just a top-notch player. And then Pascal Siakam is the last player on the third team of the NBA All-Stars. So interesting to see. We don't. This is the sports writers voting, and I talked to Seth about this a little bit in one of our pre-meetings, and it just that people just don't like Joel Embiid, and for that reason, sometimes it does come down to a little bit of a popularity contest. And unfortunately, Embiid is a second teamer. Let's talk about a little bit. Let's see what we've got here next. And one thing that's interesting, we'll talk a little college football. And we've got Oklahoma, who that Lincoln Riley left to go to USC. And he had 4 quarterbacks in his room. And as of now, 3 of the 4 quarterbacks have transferred or gone into the portal. The latest one being Ben Harris, who was a 4th-string walk-on. He's a freshman. He's a rising. He'll be a freshman when he transfers. Actually, he's a freshman last year, and when he transfers, he'll end up becoming a redshirt freshman. Ben Harris is from Midwest City High School. He won 4 straight state championships. He was 52-2 in high school. And the main reason he's leaving is because he said he came to Oklahoma because he referred to Coach Lincoln Riley as the quarterback whisperer. So maybe he'll end up at USC, and be vying for a scholarship because he was a walk-on and a non-scholarship player. The Champions League's final. Let's talk a little bit of soccer. And Liverpool versus Madrid. As of yesterday, everybody was talking about, oh my goodness, you can't miss this bet. It was plus 102 on FanDuel. And unfortunately, they came up a little short, and Madrid won its 14th Champions title, 1-0. And there was a lot of chaos before the game. They actually had to delay the game 37 minutes just because of a bunch of soccer hooligans and fans that had fake tickets, and then there were people that were rushing the gate to get in. And just an absolutely chaotic sight. It just shows you how crazy Europe is about soccer, and as they call it, football. Scientists uncover some spiders sales. We'll talk more about this next week. This is going to be our science portion and also creep portion for next week's show, but we will talk a little bit about that. The sale of Chelsea is almost finalized. Okay, the club said Saturday that a final and definitive agreement has been entered in last night. They're trying to sell to Capital Course Consortium. The price is $2.5 billion, and that is going to be the highest sale of any sports team in the history of sales of sports teams. So just keep that in mind when you're watching some of your European soccer league. Unfortunately, we talk a little bit about the Rockies and how well they were doing in the first 20 games. They were over 500. Unfortunately, now they've dropped to 21-25. That gives them a 457 winning percentage, and they are in last place, 10.5 games out before we even get to June. So, folks, unfortunately, we just do not have the product or the players to compete, especially in the NL West, which is just loaded with LA, San Diego, and San Francisco. I mean, even the Diamondbacks are ahead of us right now. So that's unfortunately. Other way in the National League Central, you've got Milwaukee leading there. In the East, you've got the New York Mets. Switching over to the American League, you've got Houston in the West, Minnesota in the Central, and the Yankees in the East. Again, we're so early on in baseball, it's not even really anything to watch. It's not even close to being the All-Star break yet. But just to give you an update on the downward spiral of our Rockies, unfortunately. Some other things that we have that I wanted to mention is, again, we've got Britney Griner, who's struggling over in Russia. Dawn Staley, who coached Griner and her U.S. teammates to a gold medal in the Tokyo Olympics last year, has posted messages on Twitter about Griner every day since May. And the State Department is trying to help her. Her wife was on Good Morning America pleading to please release her. And you can go out if you want to support her. Go to #WeAreBG and give a shout out to Britney Griner and her imprisonment in Russia. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I've got today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll have a much more in-depth show next week. Again, we'll have Seth back. We'll dive into the hockey. We'll talk about this illegal ring of people trading spiders on the internet and what that's all about. There's some interesting facts that we'll talk about, like the fact that there's been 200 new spider species just introduced to the world since 2000. And if it gives you a little bit of the creepy crawlies, then, well, it's good to know that when you go into your post office, you may be sharing some space with spiders that are being sent all around the world. We want to thank you and wish you well this week. Come down to Brothers at Bar and Grill in the shops of Northfield and come in and ask for Seth. He's there almost every single day. If you want to watch a sporting event, he'll have it for you. The TVs are visible from almost every angle in the bar, and they have a great patio as well. So thank you very much. Get out there and earn it this week. We'll see you next week, 11 a.m. Saturday, for the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthew. Thank you very much. Happy Memorial Day.